Hey there, I'm your host, the Bread Pirate, and today I want to talk to you about musical instruments in the sequel to The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild. This is a question that was first asked by Echolight on the Zelda Dungeon forums, so thank you, Echolight, for the idea. The question went like this: do you think Link having an instrument in Breath of the Wild 2 would be a good idea? And if so, do you have any specific instrument you want to see him play? Ooh, okay, that is a fun topic. I hope you don't mind, but I'd like to expand on this question just a little bit. See, asking whether Nintendo should add instruments into the sequel to Breath of the Wild or not is basically the same thing as asking, should Nintendo add new items to the sequel or not? The only difference between an item and a musical instrument in the Zelda series is that one of them happens to play music. I'm sure that almost every single Zelda fan out there would love to see new items in the sequel, so why not have one of those new items be an instrument? So instead of asking if instruments should be added to the sequel, what we should be asking is how they would be added to the sequel. Oh, and by the way, if you like Discords, then boy do we got a Discord for you. The Bread Pirates Discord, for all your Zelda and bread needs. You can find a link in the description below. Now let's get this episode on a roll. Before we talk about any magical instruments that can warp time and control weather and stuff, let's consider some ideas for non-magical, normal instruments. There's already a lot of potential here, especially when it comes to NPC interactions. For instance, being able to convince a character to change their mind, or being able to remind an NPC of a distant memory by playing certain songs for them. Maybe by playing an upbeat song for a merchant, you could get a discount on prices. Or maybe there would be songs you could learn that would put enemies to sleep or make them friendly. We would be able to learn new songs for our instruments as we completed more quests, and each song that we learned would give us a new ability. All in all, there's a lot of potential here, and we haven't even started talking about magic. Alright, magic time. Most instruments in past Zelda games have had some amount of magical properties to them. This ranges from your simple telecommunications, aka phone technology, to extreme examples of time control. It's hard to say exactly how magic is going to be handled in the sequel. See what I did there? But we can at least mention ways it has been used in past games. Here's a list of things that instruments have done. Communicating over large distances, healing souls, controlling weather, this is also something we talked about in our Fixing Rain episode, instantly making it daytime, revealing secrets in the overworld, teleporting the player, summoning scarecrows, calling Epona from stupid long distances, creating statues, controlling statues, summoning giants, and controlling time. Basically, use your imagination. There's an infinite amount of things magic can do in the series, so by extension, there's an infinite amount of ways that magical instruments can be used in Breath of the Wild 2. Sweet, okay, so now that we've gone over the abilities of these hypothetical instruments, we need to go over the ways that we use those instruments while we're in the game. Now, for a lot of people, it would be a nuisance to have to play your instrument every time you wanted to do something simple, like teleport. Thankfully, there's a really easy fix for that. Make instruments passive items. So you remember that teleportation animation that triggers every time you teleport somewhere in Breath of the Wild? Basically, instead of doing this like you would in Ocarina of Time, you would only have to do this, and then you teleport. So teleportation would behave exactly the same as it did in Breath of the Wild, except the animation would be different. Cause let's be honest, we don't know if Sheikah is even gonna be in the sequel. Furthermore, remember that whistling button you had in Breath of the Wild? What if you could switch the instrument you have for that button in the sequel, thus giving you different abilities depending on the instrument or song that you have equipped? That would be a very natural way of adding instruments into the game without completely overhauling how the game works or pausing time. So basically, instruments would work as a glorified whistle. So there's still one last question which we haven't answered. What instrument do we want to see in the sequel? Now, I would love to hear what you guys think, but as for myself, I don't care what it is, as long as it's not electrical guitar Link. Ooh. You know, Fishbone Link, I'm fine with that, but Edgy Link, ugh, it gives me the shivers. Anywho, thanks to Echolight who originally asked this question. Until I see you next time, have fun storming the castle.